Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. Sorry, I had my hair cut today, so I was just sorting it out. Yeah, it's a bit lumpy.
Can we also just point out the irony that I'm here in my squidgiest, warmest knitted jumper because I'm freezing cold. I'm feeling like death today, and Adam looks like he's in Club Tropicana.
Yeah, I always live in Club Tropicana. The problem is, Emily, darling, is that I got this shirt because I like
get
it,
in trouble for this.
and Emily wore my shirt last week. So if you were on last week, then you would have seen this. So I'm just getting all the fancy stuff working.
Anyone going to join us tonight?
Yes.
We'll give it another minute or so just to keep waffling.
Yeah.
So it's been good this week. Alan's done loads of polls in the group. Is that you on, or is it someone else on? That's probably you now, isn't it?
That could be me. Yeah, we did. Well, interestingly, it turns out that having a traditional style marquee, and there's actually variants of a traditional marquee, but a traditional style marquee in a farmer's field seems to be the most popular option. Now, I'm going to be honest, I wouldn't have chosen that. If someone said to me, what do you think is the most common, I wouldn't have chosen that.
What are you chosen?
I think I would have gone a clear span frame marquee, and that's not because I have a past in them. I think I would have gone like back garden, like green space.
See, I would have gone woodland tipi all the way.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. Oh, we do have a watcher. Hello, Donna.
Hello, Donna.
So,
get off!
No, don't be so rude. She's so rude. Sorry for her, everyone. No, we've got a couple now. So, yeah, no, I would not have guessed that. And you would have gone woodland tipi. In all fairness, tipis were only one step behind. So they're not exactly unpopular. But, I just don't know. I wouldn't have called that. But then I think when you look at the rustic nature of an outside wedding, then you can see why the traditional marquee is popular, and you can see why a farmer's field is popular. And I do love the kind of variety that, a farmer's field, I appreciate it's a field, but it literally is how long is a piece of string, it could be anything. So.
Right, what I think, we'll start with this question here. We've had a few questions through various methods this week, either by email or on the group, which I've written down. I know for a fact that this lady here isn't going to be on live tonight because she's otherwise engaged. I mean, how rude is that?
I know.
Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. You should all be on by now because you know.
Surely, right? Like it's EastEnders. I think EastEnders is on
or Coronation Street on a Wednesday.
Or Coronation Street on a Wednesday, or us. Surely it's us at 8. The Alan and Emily Ask an Expert Outside Bride Show.
Top of your priorities every
Top
week.
of your priorities.
Anyway, so Sylvie, who's not on tonight, Sylvie emailed this question through and was asking about seating for the drinks reception / after, so nibbles and canapes and stuff after the ceremony, and it's about an hour and a half to 2 hours worth of mingling, and she was asking whether she should be providing any kind of seating for that, whether she should provide benches or chairs or to leave them to it to mingle. It was a really good question. I had a couple of thoughts on it and I've written a few thoughts down. Number one, yes. Without a doubt, yes. Think of your guests. An hour and a half to 2 hours can be quite a long time, especially if you've got guests in heels who might want to have a little bit of a perch.
Well, I can't think. You know what I always think about? I think about like being at a nightclub when I was young and fun.
You're never young and fun.
I'd still want to go and sit down there and let so.
You also may have elderly guests. Elderly guests will need to have that little bit of reassurance that if they do need to have a sit down, they might have some space. And I would put as a character that make sure that it's actual chairs or benches rather than things like hay bales for your elderly guests. Hay bales are quite low, and anyone who's got any mobility problems may have an issue getting up and down off the ground. Similarly with picnic blankets on the floor. So do put some benches in. You don't need to put loads in. Not everyone in your party is going to want to sit down, and you will find that no one sat down all at one time. So you might want to just put a few dotted around in the area. Don't just rely on things like hay bales, apart from obviously the obvious with the terms of height. But if you are having an outside drinks reception and the heavens come down, you will probably not be using your hay bales, because if you're hiring them rather than buying them, any hirer won't take them back if they're wet. So the chances are you might not even be able to use your hay bales on the day. And if that is the case, and you are you're not going to be able to use them, suddenly you have a lot of guests who don't have any seating options. So just bear that in mind. Similarly with expecting people to just sit on the grass, because in perfect scenarios, people might just sit on the floor and have a drink and have a chat. But if it's been raining the week before, it might be sunniest day ever on your actual wedding day, but if it's been raining the week before, the ground might still be quite wet and soggy, and people aren't going to sit their bums on bare grass.
Yeah, I think there's lots of options, whether it's a bench, a wooden folding chair, if you want some lime wash Shivaris for argument's sake, then get some in. I think even plastic patio chairs have their place, in the right kind of
And any kind of hiring of chairs really aren't that expensive, especially if you're not having any kind of formal sit down but you need to hire chairs. I think starting price can be around £2.50, £3 a chair. So
and lower.
And lower, but depending on what you want. So if you're only going to have a handful of chairs, it's worth that little investment just to make sure that some of your guests do have that option to sit down if they need to. Similarly, someone else this week was talking about what to do about their hand fasting ceremony and letting guests know about what to wear on their feet. Definitely put down that they need to bring flip-flops or flat shoes, or if they're not going to do that, because you will always get one lovely lady coming along with her best stilettos ever, invest in just some like little heel stopper type things.
Yeah, I saw
ones
that
you can
post.
get.
I can't remember who. Let's have a quick look who asked that.
They're called clear heels, or they're called. There's a few different.
Danielle, Sir Kaz Farmer was asking tips for those who've never been to an outdoor wedding. Suggestions for the female guests, and they're cleanheels.co.uk seems to be the main supplier.
I've been to a wedding. I was managing a wedding once, and they literally had just a bowl of them on the side. I mean, don't get too many as well, because they are quite expensive and they will just disappear otherwise. But if you have a select few, just in case someone goes, oh my goodness, I'm sinking in the mud. Sinking in the mud with 6-inch heels is.
I went down the. I think someone else mentioned as well. Embrace it. You've just said this, and chuck your wellies in, chuck your flip flops in, and make most of it. If you think about that kind of Hyde Park festival chic, where hunter wellies, it's kind of cool anyway nowadays.
But if you know that's going to be bad weather in the week before and it's all on the grass, maybe look at investing in some coir matting. Do walkways to places, and that will help people's shoes as well if they are being not as clever with their foot choices. We've often hired out Persian rug aisles, like if you're going for a bit of a boho kind of theme. We've got rugs to hire. We put them down so people can actually walk on a better surface. You can speak to your marquee or tipi provider. I'm sure they have extra rolls of. They have it in narrower lengths of coir, where you can roll out sort of walkways to the key places to save your heels.
Definitely.
Talk to your tent provider.
Cool.
Right.
Thank you to Sylvie for
Sylvie,
that question.
The second one on my list is a quick one. This is from Kayleigh, and Kayleigh says, where could you source lanterns and paper pompons cost effectively? Now, I've used paper lanterns and stuff loads over the years, loads and loads of different events, both indoors and outdoors, and ultimately I've used expensive ones, I've used cheap ones. They make no difference at all. Basically, they are
Hong Kong specials then.
I would go to Amazon. I'll go to Amazon. I wouldn't even look at all the special ones. And I apologise if there's any suppliers on here going, no, don't say. I would go to Amazon. You get the biggest range of colours. You get the cheapest delivery, because most of the time if you're on Amazon Prime, you get cheap delivery or free delivery. They do ranges of sizes, and ultimately they're a throwaway item, because if they're outside and they get wet, regardless of them being expensive or not, if the tissue paper gets wet, they're going to be binned. If they're inside a marquee or a teepee or anything like that, with enough of them, and they are fabulous, absolutely fabulous for colour pops and getting really good striking sort of colour pops in a very bare space.
Well, we saw that one on. We were looking at a blog post this week, weren't we? And they had like a very ivory white marquee, which I love, but they just had these lovely colourful paper lanterns, and it really did kind of bring it to life. So
I would say definitely Amazon, because they are by far the cheapest, and you don't know the difference when they're up. don't go down the road of trying to make them. And I know some DIY brides and screaming, I'm going to have a whole wedding party with my bridesmaids and we're going to make them from scratch.
Hey, if people want to, they can.
In the time, money, health triangle.
No. Yeah. But if you want to, then you want to.
It takes hours to fold.
I know. Plenty of significant males at weddings who have wanted.
90p a piece.
No, I get that. But sometimes people just want to make them. Don't say they can't.
Okay.
If you want to make it, you make it. However, they're dirt cheap. You know.
But the only thing I would say on paper lanterns and stuff as well is you can get various sizes. They start at about 6 inches and then they go through to the bigger balls, like the 50 centimetre ones. I would say get a selection of sizes. Don't just stick to the smaller ones, because if you have a large space, you're going for a clear span mark, anything like that, they'll get lost and you'll need a lot more to cover the space. Really invest in the larger ones because they will give you the big striking colour, you'll be able to fill the space more and they won't look as randomly dotted as if you have a collection of bigger, or go with some bigger ones and some smaller ones together and make little clusters of them as you go along, because they will be awesome.
Yeah, I was just thinking about this. I mean, the amount of people over the years who have had them at their wedding and then said to us, would you like these? And Emily's a hoarder, she always says yes. And we've just got these piles of paper lanterns.
Anyone ever wants to hire someone?
Well, we don't have that many. No, we don't have that. They may get moved on every now and then. Don't tell Emily. I don't think you have. I think you have. I don't think you have.
I've got aqua blue.
They're not there. They're not there.
They are. I know exactly where they are.
They're not there.
We have a container full of our extra hire items and it's ever growing.
If I suddenly disappear, that's because my chair's broken and I'm worried that I may hit the deck. That's why I was just looking over my shoulder. So, yes.
That is on. No. Right, okay, and then the last thing, we have Sarah Henshaw, who's new to the group. Nice to meet you, Sarah. Hope you're enjoying the group and you're finding it of use. Sarah had the best question of the week, and it was convincing parents about the amount of work in an outdoor wedding and whether it's a good idea, and the onslaught afterwards with the mass clear up. How to convince them without saying, it's our wedding.
Yeah, she said, I'm saving the it's our wedding line for another day.
I will say one thing.
Bring it up, hold the big guns back.
Hold fire, especially if you've got any length of engagement coming up. Learn to bite your tongue and learn. I'm not the best example of that, but learn to learn to bite your tongue a little bit and know that for parents ultimately want to have the best day for you, and they've been thinking of your wedding day probably since you were born, and they have an image in their head, and when it's something different to what they've thought about, sometimes they find it difficult to articulate their feelings in the nicest possible way.
No, I think just when passions get involved in things like that.
I actually had this conversation. I was talking to Kay. We did a Baylily meeting speak with a caterer, and we were talking about street food and how the shift from traditional three-course meals to street food vans and food carts and stuff have changed, and how some parents may or may not think that's not acceptable. You know, they struggle with the idea of not having a sit-down meal, and ultimately it is your wedding, and you do what you want, but it's all about guiding them through the journey of how is it going to be amazing, and ultimately you're having a massive party with your friends and family, and it's going to be the best day ever for you. So just give them some reassurance. And I've made myself a little list here of things to do, and I think a few people on the group this week have actually put their points as well, which covers some of the
We'll try and name check the ones who have suggested this as well.
So firstly, any wedding, be it an outdoor wedding, stately home wedding, barn wedding, church hall, doesn't really matter, they all come with challenges and they all have an element of hard work. An outdoor wedding, yes, you have a lot to source and a lot to clear down, but Alan's got a great example of your brother's wedding, haven't you? So do you want to say that story?
Yes, I wasn't actually listening then, I was reading something else. Basically the wedding stopped at whatever time it was meant to stop, 8 p.m, and everyone there had to tidy up, and so, which was kind of okay. It still felt fun. Ignore the fact that it was in another country, and I think the ones who weren't from that country were building up for a long night, and the ones in that country, they're used to going to bed early. So at 8 o'clock it was like lights on, we need to hand the hall back at 10 o'clock. So we all pitched in and we all tidied up and we all swept up and everything else.
Basically, any wedding like that, be it in a marquee or in a hall has its challenges, and you just have to ride that train. But I think Sarah's having it in one of their fields, their own fields. I think I got that from their post. What I would say is you have a whole week before your wedding, and if it is your land, then you're very lucky sometimes. If you're not hiring on your own land and you're hiring somewhere else, it's worth speaking to your venue provider about how long you have your hire for, because you can really relax your week by, and I think Kerry also put this, by staggering in your suppliers coming in. So making sure that the Friday or the Thursday you're not having every single caterer and bar staff and marquee and tent provider, if you're having glamping and all that, all coming onto site at once to set up their stuff for the next day. You don't need to have that hassle. Stagger it throughout the week. So have your marquee maybe coming on Tuesday or Wednesday, or Wednesday or Thursday. Any infrastructure that needs to be there for the Saturday start, make sure that's just stagger it along Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, just to give yourself a bit more relaxed time. On that, I would say also use your suppliers to your advantage. Now, I think Kerry also put this. If you're hiring a tent, like a marquee or a structure, chances are that's
tipi.
If it's any reputable tipi company, they will be providing everything on the inside as well. So your tables and chairs, your lighting, anything in that kind of rig. They put their fairy lights up and stuff for you as well. That is their responsibility. That's not your responsibility. So if they're bringing it in, they're going to be bringing it out again. So that's not for you to clean up. You don't have, or you may have to stack some chairs. You might have to break down some tables, but you don't have to going to have to clear that off site. Similarly, if you are booking a caterer and checking your terms and conditions with that caterer to see if that's something they offer, caterers, bless their hearts, often end up being the event manager for the day as well. If you're not having a wedding planner or an event manager on the day, they'll come in, they'll do your food service, they'll be your waiting staff, they'll often clear plates, they'll often clear glassware as you're going. They might buddy up as your bar staff later in the evening if you need extra staff. So they're going to be taking things like your crockery, if that's part of your package, crockery and plates and all that kind of stuff will be taken away from you. You're not going to have to deal with that. If you're going to be doing table centres, think about potentially giving those off as gifts to people to take home with them, so you're not going to be left with 50,000 big flowers or pedestals and stuff to deal with. Re-gift them to other people, so you're not going to have to deal with that at the end. I've put another one saying invest in staff for the day. Now, you don't have to, and obviously if you're doing your own wedding, you want to keep it personal, fantastic. I would say investing in staff, be it through your caterer, be it through your bar, if you're having an external bar, or a wedding planner, or an event coordinator. Event coordinators can start from probably around 400 plus up to 1,000, depending on how good that coordinator is and what they do. For the day, it gives you that peace of mind not to worry about things. But if you're not having any of that, look at getting some external, a couple of people, maybe we've had weddings, we've gone to like local scout groups, something like Explorer Scouts, or
I'm just waiting for my chance to speak.
I have lots to talk about.
Oh yeah, so have I.
I made a list. And students and all those kind of things, get a couple of them in, because they might want the extra money just to come in and do a little bit of weekend work, and they can do the things like clearing bottles and stuff throughout the evening. Go, Alan, go. No,
I totally agree with everything Andy said. I think that fundamentally, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but it will be hard work.
Yeah.
So, making I remember a wedding where I got a notification where on the Sunday clear down there was an entire van load of glass that needed to go to the recycling centre, and that was the downside of a free open bar, because all of a sudden that needed tidying up. So don't underestimate those little things. I mean, I know Yvonne Beck mentioned on the post about have a clear down party, so invite everyone over for breakfast on Sunday morning. Would you mind? I think it really is going to depend on how much work you and your family are happy to do, how much you want to do or don't want to do, and how much budget you have available to perhaps pay for people to do it for you. With regards to alleviating their kind of nervousness around the day, sit down and kind of talk them through it
What, like we did?
Yeah. Well, Emily's reminded. I don't remember this. I do remember getting both sets of parents together.
We had your mum, your dad and stepmom, and my parents in a room with a flip chart.
See, I don't remember the flip chart, but Emily says we did it, and that is very much like us. So I wouldn't be surprised if we did do that, but I don't remember it.
We did a breakdown.
I would have done a keynote.
You probably did a keynote or something like that, but it was quite funny looking back at it. But yeah, definitely get them on board and maybe take them to a couple of wedding fairs. And if you're having an outdoor ceremony, like places like Tentario and those sorts of things often have open days when they have all their setup. So get them along to that. Go and get them to see it in the flesh, because lots of parents haven't seen this. It's still quite a relatively new kind of fashionable thing, the tipi.
Yeah.
It's really not that. It's quite niche. It's very, very niche. So just get them along to see and get them excited about things like that.
I would ascertain exactly what your suppliers are doing. So if you're having a bar company in, for argument's sake, what do they do?
Yeah.
You know, and do they arrive with everything and leave with everything without you needing to touch it unless you're drinking it, for argument's sake, because that's what you want. Likewise, with everything else.
It's a really good one, and I touched on this with Kay yesterday as well. It's for whatever reason, some couples don't do it because it's new to you when you're dealing with suppliers and having relationships with suppliers. Is you get given your contract or you get given your terms and conditions, and often you just sign them and you pass them off to someone else. It's really important. Really, I can't stress this enough. Really do read your terms and conditions and work out exactly what that supplier is doing for you and what they're bringing and what they're not bringing before you just sign it and go, because otherwise you go, I didn't realise that.
Because you might find that, and I don't think this actually exists, it's just the example I've got, that your TP marquee company may say that the carpet needs to be cleared before they arrive, i.e. you need to sweep the floor. Now, I don't actually think I've ever heard of that, but it's just the only example I've had. But I know the tables might need to be cleared. So then, if the tables need to be cleared before the marquee company come in, whoever's clearing the tables, hopefully your caterer, when are they clearing all of their equipment out? So I remember in my marquee days, we've said we will be here at X o'clock, and we turned up at X o'clock, and the catering equipment was still everywhere. And the couple unfortunately gone, we didn't think about speaking to them about that. They're coming tomorrow, so we had to then move it all out because we were helpful, but it was a little bit awkward for a couple of moments.
That's where your timing comes in. Like I said about your planning your week before your wedding, when you have your marquee on Wednesday, blah blah. Do the same in reverse. So often as a bell tent company, we'll go in on the Sunday afternoon or the Monday morning, won't we? On an average weekend wedding. But like Alan said, if you're booking your marquee to come in on the Sunday afternoon to get rid of it as well, and your catering company don't come into the Monday, you just need to just timeline it and be methodical. Get a flip chart. They're great. And just write it all down so you can see it in front of you, rather than just one person having it in their head, because your groom might think one thing and you might think the other thing, and it all might get a bit messy. And you want it to be streamlined. There were just two other little things on this, and they're minor things in terms of making sure it's less messy at the other end. If you're having a lot of mess, or you're going to be having an open bar, or you're going to be having a bar where there's glassware, that's bottles and stuff like that, look at hiring a skip. They're not... I don't even know how much a skip is.
I don't know. There's, to be honest, it's certainly not something I really know about. But even if you've got some wheelie bins, or these hippo bags, I don't. We're not experts. I don't know. I'm just thinking of things. The thing,
if it's on your land,
we are experts, but not experts in that.
If it's on your land and you're hiring a skip,
if it's on your land,
it might be more cost effective than you having to go and take it off to a recycling centre somewhere else, or getting someone to clear it, or having to put it in vans and stuff like that. You can just chuck it all in the skip. The skip provider can come,
recycled, sorted out, obviously.
Pick it up, take it away, and you don't have to think about it. Or like Anne said, get some big bins, and we covered this a few weeks as well. Decorate your bins, put some nice rush matting around them, or just make them look less bin-like on the day, and then just encourage people to be throwing it away in the right way, rather than being all on the floor. Not that people put things on the floor these days. Most people are quite civilised. And then the other thing, if you don't want to have any kind of glass waste at the end of it, use recyclable glasses, like kilner jars are often quite fun as well. Get people to have their cup with a label on, so they can keep going back to the bar to make sure that they're using one cup as much as possible throughout the evening, and you won't have as much to clear up at all.
Definitely.
I think that's
Right,
it.
I think that is it for tonight.
Has anyone got any questions?
No.
Quiet tonight.
It is quiet tonight. Have we missed something? Is it a royal wedding? Is there a big football
No.
match on that we wouldn't know
I just
about?
heard you were coming back.
I did write, and I'm back, and I was like, yeah, I was really excited, and clearly no one else was. So
I'm really excited that you're back, darling.
whatever. I think Wednesday is domestic day for Emily and I, because we seem to have a domestic every Wednesday. Not blazing round, because we don't particularly shout in front of the kids, but there's always a bit of and so for whatever reason, by the time we finish this, we're normally over it. Yes. Was that
If it helps, I think your hair looks lovely in this picture today.
Thank you very much, darling. I think you look lovely as well.
Very Harry Styles.
And you know what?
From early days.
I'm quite happy with anything like that. I love the fact Ben joins us every week.
Aww.
Bless him. That was last summer, anyway. No one really cares about our domestic, my hair, or Ben. They probably do care about Ben. They probably don't
Really,
care
so I
about.
won't be ill next week.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for tuning in tonight to the Outside Bride, Alan and Emily Ask an Expert show. In our heads, this is Saturday night primetime TV. I'm probably sure that comes across a little bit.
I'm really excited. I'm going wedding dress shopping with a friend tomorrow. Woo!
That's very cool.
I might have to do some sort of live / a bit of a looking at the trends in the wedding shop.
Yeah, why not? Where are you going, Botley?
Going to Botley.
Oh, I know, yeah, not that one. Okay, we won't mention them anyway. But cool, everyone, thank you very much. Have a fab evening. Thank you for those who joined us. And even if you're watching this back and you have a question, feel free to place it in. And we look forward to speaking to you again next week.
Ta-da! Bye!
Bye. Thumbs up for charity. All right.